Hey guys, so today I'm going to make shrimp scampi, but instead of regular noodles, I'm going to be using zucchini noodles because it's a healthier alternative, a lot less carbs, and it's really yummy, at least in my opinion. So let's get started. Alright, so as you guys all know, make sure put your hair up, wash your hands, have everything in place, mise en place. So I'm using spiralized zucchini noodles. They were in the frozen section from the store because I did not feel like making my own. Although it is very simple, it also would take more time, and I'm trying to do this quick. I also have defrosted the shrimp, and I've already started to take the tails off of some of them because some people do eat the tails, but my family and I prefer not to. When you are defrosting the shrimp, make sure you use cold water and then dump it out, and then put more cold water in after like 10 minutes, and just continue doing that until they're completely defrosted. You don't want to use the warm water just like washing vegetables because it might start the cooking process already, which you don't want to do. And after you take the tails off, you want to make sure that you devein the shrimp. So if you've ever eaten shrimp before, you'll notice that sometimes going along their tails, they have this little brown thing, which is very unappetizing. This is their digestive tract, so you want to make sure you pull that out of every shrimp. You're going to use 4 tablespoons of butter at first in your skillet and save the rest for later. So in total, you will need 8 tablespoons. The recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic, and they want it minced. So the recipe calls for 1 shallot sliced. The recipe also calls for the juice of a whole lemon. That's really aggressive. So first you want to squeeze it in the bowl or into a cup so that you don't get seeds into your pan right away. So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of cherry tomatoes, but again, I made less, so we're just going to do 1 cup. Alright, so I've made this before, and in my previous experience, my noodles were a little bit soggy because they're just wet. So I'm going to fry them a little bit first in a little bit of olive oil. Not too much, just a little bit so they're not as wet and soggy. So after I put the zucchini on the stove, just to fry it up a bit, I'm going to rinse this spinach in some cold water. Alright, so you're going to put your 4 tablespoons of butter in your large skillet. This is the biggest one I have. And I'm going to turn the heat on to medium-high. If we were in the food room, of course, it'd be lower. And we're just going to wait for the butter to melt. Once your butter is melted and hot and sizzly, you want to put your shallots in and wait for them to soften up and get a little translucent. So after you put your shallots in and they're translucent, you want to put your garlic in. And garlic only takes about a minute to cook. In the food room, it'll take about 30 seconds for it to get fragrant enough. Oh yeah, see, it's already fragrant. Does not need a lot of time to cook. The recipe called for about a pound of shrimp. This is not, I lessened it just because not as many people are eating. So, just throw it all in. Shrimp cooks really fast, so they only need about 2 to 4 minutes to cook. Ooh, this one's all good. So you're going to use slotted spoons to remove the shrimp into a separate bowl, just so you can keep the shallots and the garlic in there for flavor when we make the sauce. So now we're going to be making the sauce. It calls for half a cup of mirin. Actually, it calls for half a cup of white wine, which I did not have. Maddie, sorry, my dogs. Mirin is just a sweet cooking rice wine. Use it in stir fries and different kinds of foods. The crushed red pepper and paprika. So I'm just gonna throw those all in. Make sure your pan's on medium-high, and we're using the same pan that we cooked the shrimp in. Okay. So, nice and sizzy, so add some of that. Oh my god, that sounds so good. So, turn the heat up a little bit and bring it to a low boil. So as you can see, it's boiling. We're just gonna mix it a little bit. Make sure all the flavors are there. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, next I'm gonna add in the rest of the butter, which is the 4 tablespoons. So I'm gonna add about 3 cups of spinach. I know it seems like a lot, but once you put spinach in, if you've ever noticed, if it's cooked, it wilts and it becomes not as much. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this in until they're wilting. Put the cherry tomatoes in. All right, so put it on a simmer. Bring it to a simmer. And add in your zucchini noodles and shrimp. And just toss it together gently. And let it warm up and do its thing. So next I'm going to start making a little bread, since this isn't any carbs and I love carbs. So I'm just gonna toast a little bit of bread. Put in the oven at 375 degrees until they're toasty brown. Since this is all heated up now, it's been on low temperature, about 3 or 4 on my stove for a little bit now, and it's all done, and it smells so good. How'd your review go?
I just took my first bite.
Oh. How was it?
It's good. I actually wasn't expecting it to be sweet like that.
Would you like the sauce thicker or like thinner? Or is it just right?
Honestly, I think you hit the perfect consistency here. You truly are the master chef, clearly.
I want to be master. Actually, yeah, I want to be master chef.
Yeah.